President Obama's national security advisor just days ago called Netanyahu's visit destructive. President Obama himself Monday said it was a mistake to come so close to the election. I put that to Matthew Duss, president of the Foundation for Middle East Peace.
Well, I mean, there's two parts to that. One is clearly at the personal level, President Obama and Prime Minister Netanyahu just don't get along. They haven't really gotten along from when they first met, but it's increasingly gotten worse through various episodes, both with President Obama's efforts at the peace process with the Israelis and Palestinians, which Netanyahu has opposed and behaved in a really kind of recalcitrant fashion, refusing requests to halt settlement growth, etc. But then on this issue of Iran, more immediately, Netanyahu is someone who's very suspicious of Iran and its intentions, not without reason, we should understand, but very suspicious of the ability of diplomacy and negotiation more broadly to achieve security. And he's been very, very vocal about this in a way that is sort of out of the bounds of the historic U.S.-Israel relationship. At the fundamental level, I think there is still a strong relationship between the two countries, a very, very close military-to-military relationship, very close consultation and coordination between the two intelligence services. But I think the tension at the top level cannot help but filter down to a certain extent.
He had to know it would be controversial coming here. Did he have any sense that it would be this controversial? And does he care?
Well, my view is that he really miscalculated here. If you think back to 2011, you saw Netanyahu coming, giving a speech to Congress in which he pretty much outright rejected President Obama's latest peace process initiative. President Obama spoke in May 2011 and talked about starting negotiations on the basis of 67 lines with swaps. This is something Netanyahu strongly opposed. He came to Congress and delivered a speech against that. But I think the miscalculation comes that Netanyahu and his people don't really understand the way that the Iran issue plays differently here in the United States than the Palestinian issue. I think it's much more difficult for Americans broadly to understand the benefits, the immediate security benefits of resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I think the Iran issue is a bit different, especially in the wake of the Iraq War. And the cost in blood and treasure and destabilization in the region that came about because of that war. I think Americans understand the value of trying to solve this problem with an adversary such as Iran through diplomacy and using other tools other than the military tool. So I think Netanyahu thought that he could, my view is that he thought he could come and deliver another arousing speech and get lots of standing ovations and frustrate U.S. policy, and I think he's going to be wrong about that.
There was a headline in Al Monitor which was talking about the Israeli election, and it said that Israel is a divided country in many respects. We know about the divisions here in the United States politically with the Republicans and the Democrats. Frame this for us in Israel. How's it being perceived there? Because I know that the Election Commission has also put on this 5-minute delay. How's this playing there? Because we kind of have a general idea of how it's playing here in the West.
Well, I'd say you see, it's not the same, obviously, but you see some of the same divisions in Israel that you do in the United States. I think for Netanyahu's conservative right-wing base, there's an element of that base, I think a big part of that base sees value in their guy, Netanyahu, speaking out on the world stage, ignoring criticism, in fact, confronting criticism. So for some of Netanyahu's big supporters, I mean, the fact that he's receiving so much criticism, both from Americans and Israelis, is almost a point in its favor.
What about globally? How's he seen, do you think? Does this bolster him in any way, or does it hurt him?
Let's remember, this isn't just an issue between the Prime Minister of Israel and the President of the United States. This is the President of the United States, along with our partners in the P5+1, that's the permanent 5 members of the UN Security Council, plus Germany. So this is a fairly strong international coalition that's supportive of these negotiations, that has been part of the sanctions coalition, and that is trying to get this deal. So when Netanyahu opposes this deal, when he lays out these very serious and far-reaching new conditions, such as dismantling the entire Iranian nuclear program, things that no serious person thinks are actually achievable, he's really setting himself up as, someone who's opposing a pretty strong international consensus, and I think it's important to see it in that context.
Matthew Duss, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
And if you're hoping to watch the Israeli Prime Minister's speech to the U.S. Congress, look no further than our website. We will be live streaming it beginning at about 11 a.m. in Washington, D.C. That's 1600 GMT, and midnight, March 4th in Beijing. That's at cctv-america.com, and we'll have full coverage on the air following
the address.